Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's another fabulous Monday morning on the Catholic Convert Show. And I'm lying to you right now because it's not morning at all, and I don't know why I said that. But it's Monday nonetheless, and we are here. Back in the studio is our beloved Ed, the old creepy guy with the basement. What's going on, brother?
Not much. I'm just trying to stay cool. It's about 112 degrees out there. It's a toasty one. But
Well, it could be
got
worse.
the
It could
AC
be, what is it,
cranking.
79 degrees in the UK? It's a heat wave.
That was the funniest stuff that I saw over the weekend. That what are they saying? It's going to be over 26 degrees Celsius for 76 hours or whatever. It's like, okay, all right, I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm looking it
honestly,
up and I'm like,
that's
my
78 degrees is a
AC
heat
is
wave
set
in
to
the UK.
62. Yeah, I'm like, my AC is set to 62 all the time, but I'm looking at the thermostat on the wall and it's like 77 because it's just so freaking hot here. The AC can't even keep up. I'm like, so your heat wave is currently what it is inside my house with the AC
I don't know what to
on,
say.
and y'all are saying, "Oh, well, we don't have AC in our homes, you know, they're not well ventilated." I'm like, I live in the South, and our homes are old. My house was built in the 40s. like, like I have a 3-inch crawl space. I got to take up the
It was,
subfloor to fix plumbing issues. That's how old my house is. All right.
well, they've got to keep the whole global warming, climate crisis, whole thing going. And, you got to make every headline sound like it's the end of the world.
Yeah. The
So,
picture they put up for that article was hilarious, though. It's what was it? Some lady like dunking her face in a pond
yeah,
or a
yeah, yeah,
fountain or something. It's a heat
yeah.
wave. I'm like, I walk outside and it's like 86 degrees at 11 o'clock while I'm taking my dog out. I'm like,
Yeah. I don't know. Very, it's a crazy world out there, Jeff. What can I tell you? It's getting
well, my
crazier.
favorite part, right? But my favorite part is they go, well, we don't have air conditioning. You're not a third
But
world country yet. Why don't you get it?
yeah,
Because we don't need it. Every year for the past 5 years, I've seen headlines, heat wave and heat wave and heat wave. And it's like mild 70s, 80s over there. And if you're complaining about it every single
yeah.
year, maybe you should get AC instead of just waiting till the following year to go, well, we don't have AC. Get it. You're a first world country. I'm sorry. It's
That's beyond me. But
like, get a fan, open
uh,
the window.
do something. It's I look, I when I where I grew up a couple miles down the road, we got central air when I was like 15. So I remember those nights of laying there in bed where the low temperature overnight was 87, 88 degrees. And, I don't know. There was no headlines about it. There was anything. I say, hey, mom, it's hot. And she'd say, yeah, it is. That was end of story.
Congratulations. I'm glad you're able to discern whether it's hot or cold. It's another skill that'll take you
Exactly.
far in life, son.
It is. And so what do we do when it was, as soon as the sun came up, we were out in the backyard hosing each other off. I mean, there you go. Problem solved.
Yeah. I grew up, in the South and we didn't have central AC. We had the really crappy window units, because I mean, I grew up, not like poor, but like the poor end of middle class, like the poorer, just on the border of poverty and middle class, right? And we didn't have AC.
Yeah.
Well, it's hot. Well, what are we doing? We're going to open the windows. Like, I slept the majority of my childhood living in the South where the humidity's like, I don't know, 95,
Yeah.
6% outside. And it's, oh, what time is it? It's midnight. What's the temperature on the little thermostat on the porch say? This is 93 and it's midnight. Okay, cool. Go back to sleep.
Yeah,
I mean, I do get
we
it.
didn't
There
even
is
have
something to
window
say.
games.
Yeah, there is something to say though. Like I get it. They're from they're from a place where it's always crappy weather, rainy, foggy, chilly, and
Mhm.
so it's their bodies are not anywhere near acclimated to warmer temperatures. We get one that transplants and comes over
Yeah.
here to, I don't know, the middle of Georgia in the summer, and we're going to have to call 16 paramedics. But I don't know. It's still funny to me. Absolute heat wave. Like,
Yeah.
it's like being in, I got a buddy of mine that lives in Anchorage, and he's like, it's 50 degrees here, and we're all sweating to death. My wife used to live in Minnesota, and it's 40 degrees outside. Everybody's wearing shorts. So
Exactly.
I get it. It is a
Yeah,
geographical factor.
but you acclimate, right?
Eventually, but I
Yeah.
guess they only have 80-degree weather a week every year, so it's kind of hard to acclimate that.
Mhm.
But it's still hilarious to me, and I'm not gonna stop
I
making fun
guess.
of them just because I don't have to.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, but you know, it was Father's Day this past weekend, and I gotta say, it was an awesome Father's Day. You know, I
Aren't
woke
they
up
all?
at my normal time. Oh yeah, it's always awesome. Woke up at my normal time, 5 a.m., took the dog out. It was dead quiet in the house. Nobody got out of bed until I don't know, I want to say 7 o'clock when I usually get them up to go to church and to start getting ready for church. And I was like, okay, because I don't pay attention to, holidays. I don't want gifts or need gifts. Had zero messages on my phone, all throughout the day until I'm standing there outside of mass waiting on my son to finish, dropping off his vestments back in the sacristy, since he's an altar server. And I go back to the car and I pull out my phone out of the little console and look, and it's like 6 text messages, 2 missed calls, 2 voicemails. I'm like, awesome. They do remember that I provided for them. Awesome. But came home, big old huge pile of pork roast, some potato salad, and I got my gifts, one of which was this stoneware mug, which is awesome. And the rest are just, some of my favorite snacks and 3 awesome cards. And people are like, why do moms get, brand new this, brand new that? Dads get coffee cups, dads get underwear. Like, look, dads love coffee cups and underwear, and we would never get new ones if our wives and children didn't provide them for us on Father's Day and birthdays and
That is true.
Christmas. We would never have new ones. Like, I haven't had to buy my own underwear in 20 years because my wife goes, yeah, I'm tired of being able to see through them when I pull them out of the dryer. So I threw them away and bought you like 16 packs. And she's the greatest wife ever for doing that. But like my wife, on the other hand,
Oh,
we
yeah.
go all out. She's eating at like 3 different restaurants all weekend. She's got the whole house done for her. You just sit and chill because you're awesome. You're a great wife. You're a great mom. You sit, chill, have everything catered to you for, the entire weekend. Guys, all we care about, hey, we got new socks and the wife and kids are happy. That's all we care about.
Yeah, absolutely. My son unfortunately was extremely wrapped up in something over the weekend that he couldn't get out of. I talked to him on the phone and everything, but my daughter came over. We spent the day together, and that's all I wanted. We went to a park that's not far from here. We took a nice walk around the lake, had a nice long conversation, had lunch and breakfast together. It's great. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not much of a guy for like. I don't like getting things on Father's Day and birthdays and Christmas and stuff anyway. I'm always like, come on over and visit. That's all I'm looking for. I don't, if that. I mean, in fact, I didn't even know it was Father's Day coming up. My daughter called me on like Wednesday and said, "Hey, what do you want to do on Sunday?" I don't know. Same thing I do every Sunday. She said, "Well, it is Father's Day." you know. But that's the
Yeah.
thing. I mean, I just it's a dad thing, I think. I don't know. I mean, maybe there are dads out there that really, really get into it. Back when the kids were younger and stuff, I'd be out there barbecuing all day and such. But you get to a point in your life where you're happy that you have people around you that love you and care about you and stuff. And that's the gifts and everything. That's what do I need? I've got the Vatican archives in my basement. What else do I need?
That's where I'm at. Like, even with birthday and Christmas gifts too, I'm like, what do you want? Dad's so hard to buy for. Mom, what does dad want? And she's like, I don't know, because if dad wants something, he just goes and buys it. Like, hey, I want that. I bought it. And like, so I
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
have to wait for someone else to get me something as a gift. But really, though, my gift is like, okay, wife is happy, her usually, happy, bubbly self walking around the house, doing whatever she wants to do. Kids are happy, smiling, laughing. I'm not stressed about, whether the bills are paid. I'm not stressed about, anything. It's just a normal, chill day. Yeah, that's my Father's Day gift. And they get to get that, 7 days a week. Like, what else could I want? My wife is happy. My kids are happy. It's a great day. I've eliminated all drama from my life. My Father's Day gift is perpetual, kind of like Mary's virginity, in case all you Protestants are listening.
Whoa, what a segue there. That's right.
Yeah, I couldn't help it.
I'll tell you. It was something.
It was. It was a great weekend. We just chilled. My son, who's stationed down in Florida, he called and he's like, hey, Dad, just wanted to tell you happy Father's Day, see what you're doing. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, we went to mass. We came home. We ate giant slabs of pork. And then I sat down and I just watched some like James Bond movies, like back to back, chilling with my wife while the kids went and played and did their thing. And then they come in like, Dad got you your cards. They even made sure the dog signed one of the cards. It was cool. Course. Regular chill day. Yeah. But
very nice.
I did hear a rumor though about you over the weekend. Yeah. Apparently you kicked off some kind of hornet's nest over the weekend. I'm like, bro, that's my job. I'm the one that posts stuff on social media that gets everyone angry. Like, I did it today for some reason. It's not even intentional either. Just, I feel like most of the people that get angry about any of my social media posts are doing so from a place of not having a high enough IQ to comprehend the humor in it. But it is what it is. What did you do to make people mad, bro?
I think I said Christ is King. I don't know. I mean, no. It was the most bizarre thing ever. I think, from my point of view, there was you probably everyone was aware that was at the end of last week. The Pope had welcomed in. I know Colbert was there. Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, that was
Jimmy
a really
Fallon,
awesome.
And a bunch of these folks are actually Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you would think so, but apparently that's not the way it went over. I do think
so.
But there was a priest who, there was a priest who just commented, and he said something to the effect of why would the Pope welcome in these comedians who are sort of only marginally Catholic and don't really follow the teachings of the church. Most of them are pro-abortion, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And, I don't think he was trying to stir up controversy or anything. But I said, well, maybe he did it for the same reason that Christ dined with prostitutes and tax collectors. Maybe he wants to spend some time with them and perhaps convert them. That's all I said. I mean, it seemed like a kind of an obvious thing to me that if he's the Pope, isn't he supposed to kind of reach out to folks that are really not living the way they're supposed to live? Man,
No,
I
no,
mean, I
no,
got,
no, no, no. That's
a
the
few
old.
hundred likes
That
or
was the
whatever.
old way. That was the old way. The new way is
Was
popes
that
and
what it
Catholic.
is?
Yeah. Popes and Catholics everywhere are supposed to be like, I'm not going to associate with you unless you are a perfect Catholic and you follow everything, because I also am a perfect Catholic. You have to, everything has to fit in that. It's kind of like how they want to change the Statue of Liberty. What did it used to say? Bring me your sick, your poor, your tired masses yearning to be free. They pasted over that with a neon sign that says no vacancy, right? So
Yeah.
that's what it is. We can't be nice to people who aren't perfect Catholics. The hell is wrong with you?
Right. Well, so yeah, so I got hit with the normal stuff that you hear. And listen, I'm not the world's biggest Pope Francis fan. I think that sometimes he speaks with great ambiguity. I think that sometimes there are perhaps translation issues that take place. Um, but he's the Pope. Yeah, and I respect the fact that
Look,
he is
there's
the Pope.
plenty of times he
And I
says things.
pointed out to people,
There's plenty of times that
when
he'll
he
say
says
things, and
something,
I look at it, and I just go,
yeah,
"Aw, bless his heart. He's so old." And that's what I excuse some of the things he says as. He's so old.
yeah, it's wild. But he. So again, I mean, I don't defend. I rarely, if ever, defend the guy. But I mean, I got hit with all this stuff of how can you say that's not what happened? He's a heretic. He's an adult. He's he is the Antichrist. He is. I mean, all this crazy stuff they were throwing at me about the Pope, and all I said was maybe he spoke to them because he's trying to get their ear and trying to point out some of the things that they might want to improve. Maybe, and I don't know. I mean, I wasn't in the room. The people that are giving the garbage on Twitter weren't in the room. I just offered one possible solution. And then people started going crazy about that. Well, you don't know. I'm sure that the Pope didn't say that to them. Believe he doesn't have Christian values. He doesn't have Catholic morality. He doesn't. I mean, they're going on and on. And I woke up I thought it calmed down last night around midnight or so. And I wake up this morning and there's another 50 messages waiting for me about how wrong I am to think that perhaps the Pope reaches out to people to try to convert them. I mean, what a bizarre thing. You would have thought I was like, saying it was, I want to go club some baby seals or something. I mean, it was wild what was going on.
That's a good Friday night.
And I mean, I got blocked by 4 or 5 people today. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? It was wild. I mean, all I did was say, maybe the Pope brings in these groups of people because he's trying to open a line of communication. He's trying to get them to, because honestly, if he just sits in the Vatican and makes some decree that Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and a bunch of these other senators and congressmen that are supposedly Catholic but support abortion up to birth and stuff, if he just sat there and made decrees all the time saying they're excommunicated or they're this or that, nothing's going to change. And certainly their hearts are not going to be changed by that. But when he brings these people in, like he met with Joe Biden. Now, maybe, I don't know because I wasn't there, maybe he had a little heart to heart with Joe Biden and said, I've got concerns about what you say about abortion. I've got concerns about what you say about the transgender issue. Maybe he didn't. But in any case, he sometimes when people have an experience where they meet someone like the Pope, sometimes just that meeting is enough to change their heart. I've heard stories about that kind of stuff. Just meeting a whole person, someone in his position, is enough to get you thinking, even if they don't even broach the subject of whatever errors you're committing in your life. But it just, when I'm sure if I check my phone right now, it's still going hot and heavy about what a crazy person I am to think that the Pope is Catholic. I don't know. It's nuts. But that was the tail end of my weekend, and really it just blew my mind because it was just a simple little comment that I made, that maybe the Pope dines with sinners because he would rather they not be sinners. It seemed like an obvious kind of an observation, but people went nuts.
That's so weird that you got jumped on all over like that, because I've made the same argument on this show and on my timeline and on my newsletter a dozen or more times, and nobody wants to lose their minds over it. They just got really, for some reason, I don't know, they just don't like you. It might be your face.
Or it could be, Jeff, that I have a massive following and nobody follows you at all. That could be.
That could also be the case. But no, it's true. Here's how I look at it, man. You got people that say, well, the Pope should not be meeting with this person who is not a Catholic. Well, let me ask you something. If we're supposed to go out and create other Catholics, exactly how in the hell are we supposed to do that without engaging with people who are not Catholics? What are we supposed to do? Just like put up a big neon sign and be like, I'm not going to talk to you until you come over here and talk to me. You just have to show up and be like, yo, I want to convert. It seems like these, what are they? What's the term? The sedevacantists. They just want, they want, they want Pope Francis and all these Catholic priests to be, fire, brimstone, Southern Baptist, baggy pant, hooping, hollering, speaking in tongue, yelling weirdos that just point at people's face and say, repent or you're going to hell. Yeah, bro, that's really going to convert them. That's what got me into the church. No, I'll tell you a story, man. I was a practicing pagan. Yep. Literally, these tattoos on my hands that run all the way up my arm, all across here on my chest. I've got a gigantic stave on my stomach tattooed right here. And you know what? The man who is now godfather to my children, who's also a very faithful and devout Catholic, was hammered online. You're not supposed to be associating with a known pagan. And what's funny is I was called, this person called me a known pagan with the same level of energy like she was about to call King Aelfred and have him and his army come down upon me and drive me from their shores. Right? Now, that was 3.5, 4 years ago. And he and I still laugh and joke about it all the time. Anytime I do anything or like took my family to mass, he's like, not bad for a known pagan, huh? We joke about it. But he got hammered for being friends with me and being nice to me and being like, hey, he's one of the most down-to-earth fellas I've ever met. He's my friend. Well, you can't be friends with him because he's not a Catholic. Oh, the horror. And well, I don't know. Here I am several years later. I haven't missed a single mass in over a year. This weekend, because I had to wait for all the paperwork in the diocese to get my marriage convalidated. This weekend, I'm finally getting baptized, First Communion, and confirmed in the Catholic Church. And like I said, the one guy that influenced my decision the most to come to the Catholic Church was told by other Catholics and non-Catholics alike that he can't associate with me because I'm not a Christian, I'm a pagan. Why should that Catholic guy be talking to you? Like, anybody with that attitude, and I'm going to say this with as a measured response as I can, you were an absolute fundamental moron. And I'm pretty sure you suffer from fetal alcohol syndrome. And I mean that not offensively. Okay. Want to clarify that. I say that with the purest of heart and best of
How
intentions.
can anyone be offended by that?
No. I'm
You,
like, your father ate lead chips for dinner. Your mother drank every single day of her pregnancy, and you were the result. That said, there's still hope, and we're all praying for you. No offense.
well, yeah, no, not at all. But I see this all the time where people go through some sort of transformation in their life, and I see it with some guys I hang out with where they weren't the best Catholics for a very long period of time. And they had sort of, I had an experience I've talked about before where somewhere around the age of, I don't know, it's probably about 45 or so. So we're going back about, 70 years. But I was around 45 or so. And I had this experience that really drew me closer to Christ, drew me closer to my faith, made me want to do more and more for Christ on a daily basis. And it led me to where I'm at now. Great, wonderful, beautiful story, right? But I know people who've had similar experiences, and then they expect that everyone around them is at that same point. And that's where the problem comes in. Because when they meet someone who is where I was 15 years ago, who was where they were 10 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever, they almost get angry about it. Why aren't you as faithful as I am right now? Why aren't you in love with Christ the way I am right now? Why isn't your version of Catholicism at my level right now? And I think back to, we've talked about this before too, where, Christ wants to meet you where you are in your spiritual journey and then take you further. He doesn't expect everyone to be starting from right outside the gates of heaven. I mean, that's ridiculous. But sometimes as humans, we expect everyone to be at that same level that we are. And honestly, if you have that kind of attitude, all it tells me is that you're not really at the level that you think you are. If you're judging people by where they're at in their Catholic journey, you probably aren't as far along in your Catholic journey as you think you are. You got some backtracking to do. You've got some learning to do. And that's something I think a lot of us need to. I listen, there are times when I need to work on that. That is for sure. Where I'm having conversations with guys and they're not as fired up about the faith as I am, and I get a little frustrated. But the thing about what I've learned is beating that person on the head with the Bible is not going to get them to my level. Telling them where they're going wrong is not going to get them to my level. Telling them they got to straighten up and fly right at this moment, and they better believe with the same zeal and fortitude that I believe, is not going to change anything. In fact, it's going to push them further away. And so I think that that's something we need to take into consideration. And I think that's what people were misinterpreting when I said that perhaps the Pope was just trying to reach these people where they were, and they were like, no, how dare you?
Imagine how bad it would look, though,
show
if
up
the Pope was just like
at the
constantly
Vatican
cussing people
already
out and
being
telling them how bad
great
they are.
Catholics.
They're going to complain about Pope Francis.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're going to complain about Pope Francis, say, well, he's too nice to these sinners. Now, what would they do if he started being hateful towards them and telling them all, you're all damned to hell unless you start doing this and da 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 da? They'd go, well, that's not very Christian-like behavior. And they would fall into that crap. But I'll say this, for the ones that get mad about devout Catholics, whether they're priests,
Yeah.
bishops, the laity, the clergy, the Pope himself, if they get mad about him being kind and charitable and loving them as Christ himself commanded us to love our neighbors, then these people would definitely make terrible entrepreneurs. What do you mean I'm supposed to go and talk to people who aren't customers to get them to come in here?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
no. Remember, you're supposed to just put up the sign and people start coming in, no advertising at all. Well, how do you
Flying.
advertise being a Catholic? You behave like a Catholic is supposed to behave, and getting mad at the Pope for doing the exact same
Absolutely.
thing that Christ would have done by having people of all mixed faiths. I heard this story about Julia Louis-Dreyfus that was there as well. She's Jewish. You mean they let a Jewish lady go into the Vatican and meet the Pope? Yeah, they did. And do you know what happened? Right. But do you know what happened? Pope Francis looked at her, had a little 10, 15-second conversation. She was like thanking him for showing up. And then Pope Francis told her, God bless you. Do you want to know what this non-Catholic lady told him in return? Thank you. God bless you too. Imagine the absolute
There you go.
scandal in the halls of
There you
St.
go.
Peter's. It makes my skin crawl to think about it. He was nice to people that aren't absolutely perfect. Blows my mind. And honestly, I do think the people that get pissed about all that are fetal alcohol syndrome morons. They can't tell you how they would feel if they didn't eat breakfast that morning. Well, Jeff, that's not very Catholic or Christian. Trust me, I know. And as I'm saying these things, I'm thinking, damn it, I'm gonna have to go to confession for that because I really should have tried harder to be a little more measured. But I'll try harder in the future.
Exactly. Thank God for confession. There you go.
Yeah, if that didn't exist,
oh man, it's just
especially
it's
the people that get mad about the Pope
I get
being nice to people.
And that's would be the last thing I'd say about this is that I get bombarded all the time by non-Catholics about things that I will post. And that's fine. These are people that don't have the catechesis that I've had. They don't have Catholic education that I've had. They don't have the study I've done with the St. Augustine Institute and all this kind of stuff. So that's fine. And I try to have conversations with them and try to get to some why, as a Catholic, I believe what I believe. And if we wind up going our separate ways, we go our separate ways. That's fine and beautiful. But when I get attacked by Catholics for saying Catholic things, that's when I say, man, this is why some people look the way they do at Catholicism. Because here you have Catholics arguing about what it is to be Catholic. And it just, I don't know. I'll never understand that. And especially when I can, like anything that I've said, I can back it up using the catechism. I can use, can people take issue with what I've said simply because it doesn't fit their particular version of Catholicism? That bothers me because you know what? If you have your own version of Catholicism, it ain't Catholicism.
Yeah. I know. I saw this t-shirt. I think it definitely was custom made by someone, and they've definitely had to put some thought into it. But it said, please stop using hurtful Catholic language. Here's what to say instead. And then underneath it, it had like a little graph that said, Catholics worship Mary. Instead of this, say, I don't understand Catholic theology. It was just like a bunch of different examples. And the response of what you should say instead is, I don't understand Catholic theology, which sadly that applies to a lot of Catholics too. Now, I've been Catholic for going on 15 months, and I am an absolute moron as far as the level of theology that I'm versed in. But sadly, there are a lot of Catholics out there that received almost zero catechesis, and my 9-year-old knows more than they do. But yeah, look, like I said, I don't want to keep beating the dead horse about this whole thing, but gum, man, like you're gonna get mad and say, well, no, the Pope is not being nice to people like Christ commanded him to. What's he doing then? Well, he's just being nice to people who aren't Christians. Yeah. All right. Cool. You go have fun over there in your weird sedevacantist, other weirdo group. You do that, right? The rest of us are going to do whatever we can. And remember that no matter who is sitting in the seat of Peter, he ain't going to be perfect. He's going to piss half the people off and make the other half happy, right? We saw it with Benedict the 16th. We saw it with JP2. We're going to see it with whoever comes after Francis. And if you're going to spend all your time getting your little girl panties in a wad about it, that's completely your choice. But it's kind of pathetic. That sounds hateful. People want to unfollow me and get mad about it. Well, if you're watching this or you're listening to this right now, I want you to understand something. You following me means nothing to me. I'm not going to say anything that is specifically designed to make you happy. I'm going to say what I think. You follow me because you want to follow me. So there's that. But now let's shift over and see what Ed brought from his basement.
We can do that. Well, I do have a Vatican library annex as well, and sometimes I will bring something out of the library there. And I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Father Jean Crisset, but Father Jean Crisset, he was born in 1656. He became a Jesuit in 1677. He had a very good career as a Catholic priest. He died in 1738, but he was known as an awesome confessor. He was known for really being able to meet with people and draw them towards Christ. And so he had written, I guess, about 10 or a dozen books over his lifetime. The most famous one being The Devotion to the Sacred Heart, very popular book by Father Jean Crisset. But another book that he had written was called Lives of the Saints for Every Day of the Year. And it was published in 1748. And so I brought with me my 1748 edition of Lives of the Saints for Every Day of the Year. Now, what you will notice about this, is that it is, of course, since he was French, this is written in French. But Jeff, when I was paging through this book, I thought that you might be very interested in this one because the very, very first saint that he discusses in this Saints for Every Day is a saint named Saint Pamphilus the martyr, and companions. I know you want to someday be an companion. So Saint Pamphilus, the martyr, he
It's the
actually
closest I think I'll get.
lived in what is exactly right. But for most of us, right? It's something to strive for. Well, Saint Pamphilus lived in the late third century, early fourth century. So he lived during the time of the worst of the persecutions by Roman emperors. He lived during the Diocletian persecution. And so St. Pamphilus was captured along with his companions, and they were tortured for about 2 years before all being beheaded for their faith and their refusal to deny Christ. So I thought that was, and they were killed in 309 AD. So I thought that it was fascinating that this book that I pulled out by Father Jean Croisset about the saints, that the very first saint was a saint who had companions. And you know what? I think about it. I'm sure every saint had companions. I'm sure every saint made the people around them better. And perhaps when they went to heaven for their eternal reward, they took some of those companions with them. Or I'm sure that they all took many companions with them, because if you're living like a saint, you're probably influencing a lot of other people to live a saintly life as well. So there's hope for me, Jeff. There's hope for you. And hey, who knows? Maybe another 300 years from now, in someone else's version of Saints for Every Day, there'll be a Saint Ed and companions, or Saint Jeff and companions. You never know. Something to shoot for.
Yeah, what I need to do is I just need to find some of the most holy people out there and just follow them around until they kind of adopt me.
Yeah, well, it's true. Look, my hat there says iron sharpens iron. And isn't that what it's all about? Is you find the right people to hang out with, and hopefully their good habits will rub off on you, as opposed to your bad habits rubbing off on them. So
Oh yeah.
that's what it's all about. I know you do
If you
that,
guys
Jeff. I know
think I'm
you
abrasive
hang out
now,
with some
you
good
should have seen
folks.
me several years ago.
I don't think I want to see that.
I was not in any way remotely in the runnings for companion. Like, the Saints wouldn't have want anything to do with me. Okay. But I wasn't like breaking into people's houses and doing violence upon random strangers or anything like that. But I had a very, very foul mouth and was quite confrontational, like at the drop of a hat. So yeah, you think I'm abrasive now, and oh well, he's just filterless. No, 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 no. This is the very tempered version, right? This is why I say the best I'm gonna get is companion when it comes to the canonization process. And that's probably going to
But
happen by accident, because the guy's going to have to be a saint to hang out with me. But I'll say this though, man. When I look at how simple and ordinary that some of the people that we've seen and we've talked about on this show, whether they're saints of the day, whether they're saints in general that we've talked about, and you see that some of them were the most inextraordinary and unassuming people. Like, he's not a saint yet, but one of my favorites is servant of God Mike Talbot. Like, his story is so cool because he was born in, I think it was the early 1800s. He was a drunk Irish, obviously he's drunk, but he was drunk all the time. And the only thing that changed that led him to even being considered for sainthood was that after he realized he lost all of his friends, he lost pretty much his entire family. But he went to his mother and he made her a promise that he was going to be sober forever. And he struggled so much with the temptation that he would go to work, collect his wages, and then he would only keep enough to buy food that would last him to his next paycheck, or what, wasn't a paycheck in the 1800s, but the next time he would get paid, he would give the rest of it away to the poor, just so that he wouldn't be tempted to buy any more alcohol with it. And he lived in absolute poverty, went to daily mass every single day, struggled with his addiction to alcohol every single day. And he was the kind of guy that 99% of these Catholics who get mad at the Pope Francis for being nice to people would look at, and they would cross the street to avoid him because he looks like a bum. They don't want to see him. They don't want to smell him. They don't want to talk to him. And here he is, being considered for canonization. He hasn't gone far enough through that entire process. I think the farthest he's gone is servant of God, which you got servant of God, and you got blessed. He's not quite able to be venerated yet, right? But he's there, and it is some heroic virtue there, as far as I'm going to live in absolute squalor, donate all of my money except for the very small amount that is necessary for my survival to the church, to orphanages, to poors, whatever. Because that's how serious I have to be about this promise that I made, not only to my mama, and Irish guys, if they make a promise to their mama, they got to stick to it, but to God himself. And that's what they did.
That's huge. Yeah.
But they're unassuming. Yeah. Everybody always thinks, the saint has to be like Saint Francis, who walked out and started preaching to the birds and freaked everybody out when the birds started listening, or Saint Anthony when he preached to the fish, and then Saint Anthony and then Saint Francis saw Saint Anthony preaching to the fish and went, I like that guy, man, guy after my own heart. They think everybody has to be this, I'm like this 24/7. No. I mean, Edith Stein wasn't even like that. And she's one of the 6 patron saints of Europe. She's my wife's patron saint, Saint Teresa Benedicta of the Cross. Yeah. I mean, come on. Nice. She was a German Jewish philosopher. Now, you just got to say, she should have been ignored. She should have been shunned because she wasn't a perfect Catholic. I can't believe they canonized her as one of the 6 patron saints of all of Europe. Absolutely disgusting, right? Because she wasn't a perfect Catholic from birth. Got to get, tell my wife she picked the bad one. But no, I mean, saints are found in the most unassuming places. But who's never achieved sainthood? The jerk off who constantly refuses to see any of his own faults change.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's was it Saint Augustine? Yeah, exactly. No, but it was Saint Augustine. I believe it was Saint Augustine who said that every saint had a past, every sinner has a future. So this idea that we have that saints were these wonderful, pious people from birth is ridiculous. I use a quote all the time from C.S. Lewis. It says, "No man knows how bad he was until he tries really hard to be good." And I think that fits the vast majority of us, because we think we're doing a good job. We think we're going through life, and I'm a solid guy. I go to church on Sunday. I throw a couple dollars to St. Jude every year. I'm not beating my kids. Everyone thinks they're a pretty good person and that's enough. But then when you take this time to reflect and you look inside of yourself and say, okay, well, who am I really? Let me take a day in my life. Let me see what I've done from the time I opened my eyes to the time I closed my eyes. Let me look at who that I helped today. What was my prayer life today? How did I treat the people around me that I say that I love? The people in my family, the people in my community, the people I work with. How was I with them? And 9 times out of 10, you're going to say, wow, that was not a good day at all. And so, but the beautiful thing is, you got tomorrow to make it better. That's why I say, every saint had their past. I mean, and it was not necessarily a good one. And we say that, and some people don't realize we're all called to be saints. You say every person who's in heaven right now is a saint, and no one. So a saint. Well, the question is then, when are you going to start that process? When are you going to decide that today is the day I try to be a saint? It's not quite as daunting as it seems. You hear that word saint and you say, I will never be a saint. Well, if you're saying I will never be a saint, you're actually saying I have no intention of making it to heaven. Because if you are in heaven, you are a saint. So what are you saying? You're giving up already? You're not even going to make the attempt? No. Yesterday's gone. You have today. Hopefully you have tomorrow. So decide today that tomorrow is going to be a better day than today. Regardless of what you're doing,
I'm 100%.
make tomorrow even better. What I try to do is a little notebook, and I keep track of, I'm saying? I keep track of everything I do so that I can make tomorrow better than today.
I would run out of paper if I tried that. Like I'm gonna run out of paper. It's like, but I need an app for that.
Nah. Well, you learn to.
We're over here complaining about the heat wave in Britain,
nice
in England. No. I'm just saying, we're over here complaining about climate change and the heat wave. Look, you want me to cut down more trees to keep track of everything that I do wrong? Holy crap! We thought deforestation of the Amazon was bad in the 90s. It's going to get a whole lot worse. I'm going to be one of the number one contributors to deforestation. But now look, some people are going to listen to, me and you talking here, and they're going to go, well, who does Jeff thinks he is to say these things about the way he thinks we act and what's wrong with it? Because the exact same thing is wrong with me. I'm just as screwed as you are, which is why I have to go to church, which is why I have to go to confession, which is why I am constantly in need of God's grace. I'm sorry if I gave you the impression that I was somehow holier than you. We can rectify that. I am just as screwed, if not more screwed than you. The difference is I say that I'm screwed and I recognize it, and you should probably do the same. But I could be wrong in saying I'm reading the room wrong here and say, well, I'm more screwed than you. But guess what? Chances are we're all equally screwed. Why? Because that's what God said we were. That's why Christ came to redeem us. We're all equally screwed. You are, as much as you complain about the Pope, you are absolutely no better in the eyes of God. No matter if your complaints were valid or not, you're still equally as worthy of heaven as that man is, right? It's that little sense of pride. Everybody wants to complain about Pride Month. Okay, well, pride is one of the 7 deadly sins. Having that such strict pride. Look, I know I'm a piece of crap when it comes to my level of, faith and worthiness, as far as being worthy of God's love and being worthy of Christ's sacrifice and being worthy of walking into heaven. But that's why I go to the place that is meant to heal me, to see and worship the one true God. Because I have no other chance of getting there, and neither do you. I hate to be all mean and salty today. It was a great weekend. Had a great Father's Day. But then when I hear the absolute low IQ, missing chromosome takes from some of the people that lose their minds because they're just so perfect. Sure, pal. Sure. Is what it is. But I didn't even have the opportunity to segue into the thing I wanted to segue into. There is, however, a really cool app that maybe if you stop being such a jerk face all the time and you check out Holy Habits, download it for free on the App Store and in Google Play. Check out the Holy Hub and find out what your root sin is. And maybe that will lead you a little bit closer to that sainthood that Ed and I have been talking about. It's absolutely free, so all of you cheap people out there really don't have an excuse to not get it. But all this, and we still don't even have time because we talked about one saint already, so it's not the saint of the day, but we're not going to go all the way into the saint of the day. And I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of annoyed with the current structure of the show just because we end up going down all these wild tangents and we sometimes don't have time for everything. So I'll change it up starting tomorrow. But the saint of the day is Saint Joseph Cafasso. And I'm not even going to tell you what he did because I want you to not be a lazy jerk face. I want you to Google it and figure out what he did. All right, that's your homework assignment. You could turn it into me at Ed's home address. Which he's going to post on the internet for everybody to see. We've ruined this entire show just because I think people are stupid sometimes. That's all right. We'll be back tomorrow.
Less salty.
Yeah. I'm not even salty. I'm seasoned.
Just so everyone knows, I mean,
all right.
Jeff and Ed, we see the planks in our own eyes, don't we, Jeff? We certainly do. That's just don't confuse that.
I can't see anything else. It's blocking that much of my field of vision. Okay. But when I see some of these tanks, I recognize a lot of myself in them. And I'm like, stop being as bad as me, you stupid people. That's how I feel. Right?
Learn
Stop
from
being
me.
as bad as me. I need other need other good Catholics to look up to. Okay, come on. Right, y'all think I'm joking when I say I'm never gonna be canonized and I'm gonna be lucky to get Anne Companion. I'm dead serious. Okay, come on. I need y'all to be better so I have people's good examples to follow. Right. Correct. Don't make me learn from other people's mistakes. Right. Don't make me learn from the I would rather learn from the people who took my advice so I could follow it for once because I'd never take my own advice.
That'll work.
All right. But yeah, we'll wrap this one up. It's been a complete wreck of a show, but
we will.
It needed to be said. Clear the air for Monday. Make all you people so mad at us that you just rage retweet us. Right? Rage retweet us constantly. Thank you.
Work. Yes.
But all right. We'll be back tomorrow. And I don't know. We might have another guest come on this week and break up some of the monotony of me being salty. I'll try to find a salty guest to bring on and let them do it. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Follow me, follow Ed, or follow none of us. I don't care.
God bless everybody.
Not getting paid for this anyway. Goodbye. See you tomorrow.